Hey, what's up, guys? Just finished an appointment, heading to another one now. But spoke about something interesting just now, which is pretty common, which I thought I should talk about. Just wanted to share a bit about it. One of the very common things that I hear, being in this industry, is when people say that they have coverage from their company. And some of them have pretty impressive coverage. They have unlimited, some of them like very high limits, so because they work for good companies, right? So they get really good coverage hospitalization wise, so they're not really so concerned. But some of the things that people don't really know about company coverage is it is only as good as your ability to work for the company, because the coverage is there for you to be able to be in your best health and come back to work. So how it works is company coverage is renewable annually. So every year the company will renew the coverage that they have for all their staff, and they will be depending on whatever it is. So if the claim ratio is very high for the company for that year, the premiums that they have to pay might be higher. If it's lower, then it might be the same. So one of the incidences that came up is this one of our team members' clients. He worked for an oil and gas company, and their coverage is very high, so has unlimited coverage. And he was diagnosed with cancer. So unfortunately, diagnosed with cancer, and of course he was able to take his 3 months MC. He was being treated, he was hospitalized and all that. So it became worse, and it was already stage 4. So it became worse, and it was very clear that he's no longer able to work because he needs to focus on his treatment. So what happened to this guy is, after 3 months, the company issued him a letter saying, "Thank you so much for your contributions all these years. We really appreciate what you've done," and so on. Unfortunately, we have had a discussion, and we have to terminate you on the grounds of you are unable to perform your duties. So after being diagnosed, after being working for the company for a long time, depending on the coverage that he had and the time that when he needed it the most, when he was diagnosed and he needed to be treated, the company found him unable to come back again. Because at the beginning they let you recover and all that, but once it's very clear that he's not going to be coming back, the company terminated him. He no longer has the coverage, no longer has the income that he can rely on, so he was left with nothing. In fact, I have the letter with me. I've even kind of like shared it before without mentioning the names and the company. And that's really how it works. A lot of people are surprised when I say this. A lot of people are surprised when I share this, but that's exactly how it works, because the coverage is only as good as your ability to serve the company. The company will not be carrying you along and give you coverage for forever if you're not going to be coming back to work. Because how it works is, like I mentioned earlier, is annually the amount of the claims is reviewed by the insurance companies. So if your claim ratio is high, if you have someone with a critical illness who will constantly need to be treated, when the renewal comes around, the company will not want to keep that guy around because the premiums are going to be very high. So that's when you will be left high and dry. This is why, no matter how good your company coverage is, no matter how much they give you, you need to have a personal medical coverage. You need to have an individual one which you can depend on, because individual medical coverage is guaranteed renewal. At least most of them are. I know AIA ones are guaranteed renewal. How guaranteed renewal means that even if you've been diagnosed with certain illnesses like cancer, for example, when the renewal comes around, when the next time you have to pay for it, you can just pay the amount and your coverage is just as good. It's not they won't exclude it, or they won't reject you anymore because you've been sick. So you can renew it. As long as you continue to renew it, you will continue to receive coverage for the thing that you took on when you started the policy. So you need to have your own one, because the company ones is a nice to have. It's a bonus. If you're working for a company, if you have your individual coverage as well, yes, use that as much as possible, claim through that as much as possible, just use your company benefits. And when you if something like this were to happen, you have your individual one as backup. Some other scenarios where it's important to have your own one, even if you're working, is you don't know how long you're going to be working there. Job hopping, especially, very popular with my generation and the generation after. These days, if we hear someone has been working for 5 years in the same company, it's like, wow, that's like long service award or something. 5 years is long for this generation. So in between that, you could be in between jobs. You know, you could be jumping to something else, or you could be jumping from a company that is gives you very high coverage to a company that is maybe a startup who doesn't give you as much coverage. Anything could happen in between that, and you will not be covered, right? On top of that, it's also very popular now for people to start their own businesses. When you start your own business, you will no longer have coverage as well. So you might think that you can take it on at that moment, but if you were to be hit with something right now, you might not be able to get coverage at that point. So if it's something simple, like if you have asthma or something, you can declare it, and then the company will say, okay, fine, we'll cover you, but we will not cover you for asthma. That's something small. But if you get something really big like that just now, even with high blood pressure, it's tough to get medical card. Can you imagine if it's something even more serious? So you might not be able to get that at that point. So if you're eventually going to be leaving your job to start a company, it's also very important. And even if you're going to be a loyal company person, you're going to be working there for 30 years and get a gold watch or something, what happens when you retire? When most people retire, it's about 60, I guess. If they extend, maybe 62, 65, I don't know, you know, people can extend. But what happens when you retire? About 65 is when all the things usually starts happening, you know. That's when all the more serious illnesses will come. And at that point, anything that you get hit with, every time you get hospitalized, is going to be a lot. And that's exactly when you don't have the coverage anymore. You work your whole career, you have all this money saved up, and by the time that time comes, you might have to use all of that savings, all of your retirement funds, to pay for the things that that you're starting to get because you're older. So there's so many scenarios, and all of it points to the importance of you having your own personal medical card. Medical coverage individually is not even expensive. You know, you can get, and I've said it before, you can get good coverage for less than 100 ringgit. Seriously, of course, it's not investment linked. You might not have all of the life coverage and all that, but medical wise, 100 ringgit will give you a good coverage. I mean, if you're not too old, the older you are, of course, it's going to be a lot. But if you're maybe about 30s or lower than 30, it's going to be just that much. It's such a small amount to put aside, guaranteed renewal, something that you can depend on whenever, if it were to happen, because even our medical cards is up until 100 years old. So definitely, and at that time, even when you're older, even when you're retired, you can depend on it. You just set it aside as a backup plan, right? Because nobody ever got bankrupt, or nobody ever got poor for paying for insurance, but lots of people have gotten bankrupt or been in really big financial troubles for not having that, right? So yeah, I mean, it was just fresh on my mind because I was just talking about it earlier. So I just thought I'd share about it before I kind of forget about it. So that's about it. Hope you guys are having a great time. I know this week is a little busy because everyone's back to work. All the holiday is over. I know Raya open houses are still going on, but show must go on. People are back to work.